And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're getting there. Like I said, more than 5,000 new subscribers in just a day. So let's keep growing the community. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share because the stupidity, it doesn't stop. Now, just this afternoon, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, she held a press conference with the main focus, of course, being on the shooting yesterday in Minneapolis and the firing of the CDC director, Susan Menares. Now, let's get into it. The extra press seat today was filled by none other than a conservative influencer who insisted that the mass shooting problem here isn't a gun thing. Truly amazing. It's not a gun thing. Play the clip.
The first question is associated with the shooting that occurred the other day. And I want to ask the question of, we know that it's not a gun thing. Any rational person knows it's not a gun thing. We know it's a mental health issue. So I want to know from you, what is President Trump and the White House going to do to address mental health issues around the country associated with these shootings?
Yeah, I mean, he's looking for a position. Let me be very, very clear about that. Meanwhile, Karoline also tried to defend the effects of sending thoughts and prayers. Play that clip.
I have two questions for you. Sure. Democrats, including former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves who need it right now more than ever.
You know, as I wrote in my Substack of today, prayers don't heal bullet wounds. That's what Jen Psaki was talking about. It's enough with the thoughts and prayers. Yes, we all acknowledge that, but there's a much bigger issue here that they just don't want to talk about. Now, if you didn't think that that was crazy, a reporter asked Karoline about people on the right calling, get a load of this, they're calling for a new class of domestic terrorism that is tied to trans ideology. Play that clip.
I've seen a lot of calls for action, among these lawmakers saying that we shouldn't just be praying. One that I've seen on the right, actually, is calls for the FBI to institute a new class of domestic terrorism that involves trans ideology. Is that something that the administration would support?
I would have to check with the appropriate people on that.
Daniel.
Trans ideology. Really? So you want to turn around one mass shooter is trans, and now you're creating an entire subset. It's almost like Trump federalizing the DC police because Big Balls got beaten up or they took his car. I don't know which one it was. That's how ridiculous this is. This is a simple issue that needs to be handled, but it's all predicated on legitimate gun registration and legislation. Plain and simple. Now, turning to the CDC director firing, a reporter asked Karoline what the director actually did wrong that justified her termination. Play the clip.
Karoline, thank you so much. First, on the firing of the CDC director,
Sure.
Who will replace her? And then also, overnight, the White House said that she did not align with the president's agenda. Dr. Menares' attorneys say that she refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts. What specifically did she do wrong?
Look, what I will say about this individual is that her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't, so the president fired her, which he has every right to do. It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November September 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon, and the president and Secretary Kennedy are committed to restoring trust and transparency and credibility to the CDC by ensuring their leadership and their decisions are more public-facing, more accountable, strengthening our public health system, and restoring it to its core mission of protecting Americans from communicable diseases, investing in innovation to prevent, detect, and respond to future threats. That's the mission of the CDC, and we're going to make sure that folks that are in positions of leadership there are aligned with that mission.
Make America healthy again? Sure, by getting rid of vaccinations that over the last 5 decades have proven to be effective? Sure. Meanwhile, Karoline explained that the people who left just didn't share Trump's ideology, aka they thought that children should be vaccinated. Play the clip.
Expect more changes?
Not to my knowledge. I understand there were a few other individuals who resigned after the firing of Ms. Monarez. One of those individuals wrote in his departure statement that he identifies pregnant women as pregnant people. So that's not someone who we want in this administration anyway. So if people are not aligned with the president's vision and the secretary's vision to make our country healthy again, then we will gladly show them the door.
Caroline, can I just
Go to the back.
Could someone please explain to me how a pronoun changes somebody's ideology in terms of making America healthy again? A pronoun? And that's not really what he said. What he turned around and he said was that the vaccinations, or the Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s refusal and disbelief that vaccinations are actually needed and that they are acceptable and have been for the last 50 years, that he does not ascribe to Robert Kennedy's ideology or belief system, that vaccinations are causing all sorts of health and mental illnesses. It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, a reporter then asks a really good question. Should administration officials fear losing their jobs if they push back against Trump? Play the clip.
Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. Bouncing off the CDC situation, CDC. I'm curious if administration officials are pushing back on the president's agenda, privately, publicly, however, should they fear to lose their jobs going forward?
Look, I think if you're doing your job well, and if you are executing on the vision and the promises that the president made to the public who elected him back to this office, then you should have no fear about your job. Just do your job. That's what this president wants to see. He wants to see people solving problems. He wants to see the people who have the privilege of serving the American taxpayer and the federal government abiding by the wishes of the American taxpayers who overwhelmingly reelected him in this cabinet to make America great again, or in this case, make America healthy again.
On the Intel deal where the U.S. got...
Okay, look, we know that Trump won the election. Does that need to be thrown into every... And just because you won the election doesn't mean that the things that you're doing make sense. Tell us, please, Ms. Leavitt, what was it then that Ms. Montarez actually did wrong that deserved the response that she's getting from the White House, including her firing? What is it that she did wrong? Oh, she doesn't ascribe to this administration's Make America Healthy Again ideology of no vaccinations? Can't answer it, can you? Of course you can't. Meanwhile, Leavitt was also asked about the Intel deal, something that they just refused to respond to. Play the clip.
On the Intel deal where the U.S. got a stake in that company, there's two things I want to ask about that. The first is, what did the U.S. get back in return for that deal? And the second thing is, what are the future plans for giving any form of money to another company? It could be through the CHIPS Act, like this deal, or some other form of funds. What are the plans there by this White House administration?
Well, look, as you know, Brian, very well, because you cover it often, the Intel deal is still being ironed out by the Department of Commerce. The T's are still being crossed, the I's are still being dotted. These it's very much still under discussion. But the president's thinking, I can share with you, is certainly to ensure that the United States government is making our country wealthy again and is benefiting from some of these deals. And it's a creative solution. I know it's outside the box thinking, which is uncommon in this city, but it's something that he proposed and something that the Secretary of Commerce is working on putting into action. Mary.
Well, that's not actually what we heard the other day from the cabinet meeting, was it? That allegedly we have now received 10% of intel. Nobody knows the terms. Did we pay for it? Was it taken? How did we acquire it? How did Intel give it? But all I know is that we've heard the president and others make the claim that America just received $11 billion worth of an asset simply because Trump demanded it. And again, you can't get a straightforward answer. Not out of bullshit Barbie, not out of this administration. Now, a reporter then goes on and asks Karoline about her thoughts on the latest Russian strikes on Ukraine. Play the clip.
The drone and missile strikes that took place overnight in Ukraine. General Keith Kellogg, the president's special envoy, has described these attacks as egregious. Do you agree with that description, and do you view President Putin as an impediment to getting peace between these two countries?
Well, it's not about if I agree, it's about what the president thinks, and I know what the president thinks because I talked to him about this. He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are two countries that have been at war for a very long time. Russia launched this attack on Kyiv, and likewise, Ukraine recently dealt a blow to Russia's oil refineries. They have taken out, as a matter of fact, 20% of Russia's oil refinery capacity over the course of their attacks throughout the month of August. So the president is continuing to watch this intently, and this killing, unfortunately, will continue as long as the war continues, which is why the president wants it to end. And
again, it's amazing how one person can speak and say absolutely nothing. But finally, I actually want to end on a clip of Karoline's message ahead of Labor Day. Play the clip.
And as we commemorate Labor Day this year, we finally have a president who fights and delivers for the American worker every single day. President Trump believes that American workers are the heart and soul of our economy and our national identity, which is why he's championed an agenda that puts them first always. For decades, the hardworking men and women of our country who built the greatest nation in world history were sold out by selfish, greedy, short-sighted globalists who put our country on a path to economic and cultural ruin. They hollowed out our factories and towns and betrayed the American working class by shipping jobs overseas and importing millions of low-wage migrants to replace American workers. Under President Trump, this national disgrace is over. American workers are, once again, being put at the center of national trade policy, and the dignity of American labor is being defended.
Actually, one of the things she also turned around and said that thanks to President Trump, gas prices right now are lower than they have ever been, ever. Well, that's actually not true. In fact, right now, the national average, according to AAA gas, is $3.21. It was actually about a month ago, $3.14.9, $3.15. So it's not even the lowest under the Trump administration. But then again, why should you expect anything that she says to make any sense, to have any sense of truthfulness to it? It's all said for the sake of just spectacle, in order to, again, just laud him for everything. Oh, the sun rose today, thanks to President Trump. And it got very hot during the day, so we wanted night to fall. And so thanks to President Trump, night came. And then the earth cooled down. Yes, we all owe Donald Trump major thanks for the sunrise and the sunset and everything in between. Now, if you, like me, want to stop this stupidity, join the community. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share. Because as I say every single episode, unless we make it stop, it won't. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.